Welcome to Pathway to Progress. I'm Vaughn, and of course, you know my friend Santos. Pathway to Progress is just about us reaching out to our extended family through social media. We have found like-minded people who just want to elevate other people, share the wisdom gained through life, and just to pour some energy into you, whatever projects you have, and whatever way you want to elevate the people in the world around you. We want to support you and do that. We are excited to bring you wonderful people like Freddy. So welcome, Santos and Freddy.
Awesome, awesome. Freddie, it's such a pleasure to have you. And Vaughn said it well when he said we like to bring energy and enthusiasm to our audience. And if there's anyone that comes to mind when I think of the word energy and enthusiasm, it's Mr. Fired Up himself, Freddy Melero. So Freddie, thank you for being on our show. How you doing, Freddie?
Santos, Vaughn, honored and blessed to be able to have the opportunity to share this. And grateful that you guys extended this opportunity to connect and touch some lives. You know, I think what you guys are doing is something powerful and much needed, especially in these times of uncertainty and how things are going out. I think people are searching for some positive reinforcement, some positive light, some direction, and you guys are doing it. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Freddie, I've known you now for about 11 years and I've seen you, I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs, I've seen the consistency in your message. I've seen the energy, the enthusiasm. Bring us up to speed. Tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing, what brought you to this, and what's your messaging all about?
Absolutely, Santos. Well, listen, like I said, I'm honored and blessed to be here. I think it all starts with my story. Born and raised in Miami, Florida, Cuban parents. I come from an entrepreneurial background. You know, my parents came to this country with nothing and weren't given anything either, and started like everybody doing what they had to do. But as a child, I saw my parents were entrepreneurial. They had their own car business, and I saw them start from nothing to go to something big. And I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. So I had that entrepreneurial spirit of incredible work ethic, and nothing's given to you. If you don't make it happen, nothing's going to happen for you. And so when I got into college, I was searching what to do. Some people like to stay in the family business. I didn't. I wanted to do something different. I just didn't know what it was. Although I wanted different cars, I wanted to be able to drive different cars every day from the car dealership. It was really more. I wanted to do something for myself, and not knowing what to do, I got introduced to nightclubs. And here in Miami, there was a gentleman that had figured out an entrepreneurial way to make money by inviting people to nightclubs, aka nightclub promoter. And long story short, I thought it was cool at the time. It made sense for me. It aligned with everything I was aspiring for at that moment. And so I became a nightclub promoter little by little, and eventually became the king of nightclubs in South Beach. And a couple years into it, after doing that, which it went really well, I decided to get married. And I don't know about you guys, but marriage and nightlife, nightclubs, that's not going to work out. So I was searching for alternative ways to replace my income, because it was really good. There were legal, ethical, and moral. It was very challenging because those were the college years. Most people don't make a lot of money typically, especially not in the 90s, to my knowledge. So I got introduced to network marketing, direct sales, which is what I do right now. Last 2 decades. It took me a couple of years to figure it out, but I found the right mentors, the right environments, and have done extremely well. And all that translates is I've been able to bless a lot of people from a health and financial perspective in several continents. And my passion is to empower, inspire others to be, do, and have more. And so when you ask me what am I doing right now, I'm in that field, helping people win from a health perspective and financial perspective, especially in these times. And just reinforcing the mindset, because I think as you think, so you are, right? And I think if you don't know that, or if you're not around people that think that way, you tend to go sideways. And so I think for the most part, my passion, like I said, is to help people win, to help people advance, to help people move forward in life in the direction that they want to go for them and their families.
Sure.
And Freddie, I got to say, that's not just in network marketing or digital marketing, right? That's in all aspects of life. Like Santos and I've seen your posts, and you promote a lot of different aspects of life, and you're very holistic in your presentation.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's when you're passionate about something, when it's in your heart, and you just connect at a different level. And I think that's been one of my keys to success. I'm just very transparent. I tell people as it is, and I think that's very powerful for a lot of people, because the truth is powerful, right? I think from a health perspective, I'm all about health. And I think your health is wealth. I think you need to take care of your body for longevity, for energy and whatnot. And Santos, you were referring to fired up. And I think that's a mindset too. You know, many years ago, I was going through some struggle, and I met a couple that was extremely successful, and they were just fired up all the time. And one day I asked them, I go, why are you guys always fired up? I was like, I don't get this. And they said, because we choose to be. You know, you can change your state, change your mind, and approach things in a different way, in a different perspective, and as a result you get different results. And so I just embodied that. And you know, when people ask me how you're doing, I'm like, I'm fired up, you know. And it's an attitude, it's a mindset, it's a choice. And the alternative is to be negative, pessimistic, you know, another day, another dollar, you know, the day is horrible. I don't have that mindset, you know. I mean, I'm human, I can have those moments, but I catch myself and I snap out of it regardless of what season in life I'm in. I think that's why I've been able to have a lot of success. Life is full of peaks and valleys, and it's not what happens to you, it's how you choose to respond to what's happening, because what happens to one happens to all. So you have a choice. And I think a lot of people just need to know that they do have a choice. In school, they never taught me that I had a choice to control my emotions, to not to respond a certain way or not react, or, you know, AKA now it's called emotional intelligence. But, you know, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know how to control it. And that makes a significant difference, because I firmly believe everything begins in the mind. Right?
Great point. Great point.
Freddie, you talk a lot about passion. And that's one of the things that have always attracted many people to you. So one of the things is why I've always followed you. What drives you? What's your why? Drives that energetic passion that you always have?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm a man of faith. I think God blesses us with different talents and abilities, and some of it we have to develop. I don't think you ever stop developing it, but I think what I feel like I've been given a lot, and I got to give back, right? And I'm just grateful. I wake up every morning grateful for everything, for the fact that I'm alive. I have 3 kids, that they're good, they're protected. My mom's still alive. A great significant other right now. All the people in my life, all business partners and friends and family, my brothers and sisters. So I think it's gratitude that, you know, I'm alive, that we live in the greatest country on earth right now. It's like so many things. I think it's the gratitude, but I just feel like there's so much out there. I don't know. I get a high out of seeing people win. And, you know, some people compare themselves to others. Some people maybe even fall into the category of jealousy when people are winning. That inspires me. It inspires me to see people win. It inspires me to see people overcome stuff. And it really juices me to be a part of that. Like, to somehow have a little grain of sand impact, that, you know, because of something I said, something I did, something I shared, you know, they made a different decision and their life changed or something. And obviously my life has been full of that, but I just get a high of seeing people win. I love that. I think more than money, that's so fulfilling, because it's kind of like when you give, not just tithe, but, you know, you see somebody in the street that's struggling, or family, you give them food, you give them money, if something is, they're obviously feeling good because they got money or whatever, but inside you have this feeling. And I get that type of feeling when I help people win, when I talk to them, when I connect with them, and when I empower them, inspire them to be, do, and have whatever they want, because we all have that ability.
Sure. And I've seen that in action. I know those are not just words. I've seen you when you and I partnered up for quite some time, and you were my mentor. I'd see you drive up 4 hours from Miami to Orlando in a heartbeat, just to help us out with any new customer that we had, or any new step that we wanted to take, right? You were always there to help out, and it's one of the things that I've always admired about you. You talked earlier about changing your state of mind, and how sometimes you may not feel at best, and that it's not just about what's happening around you, it's more about how do you react to it. How does Freddy Melero focus on changing his mindset?
Obviously, we all live in this world. We all have life. We have family. We have friends. We have situations. And like I said, sometimes we're in different seasons. Right? Sometimes we're in our best moments. Sometimes we're our worst. I've just learned through life, through reading, being mentored, to going to the events, through being around people that are successful, and hearing their story, and reading biographies and whatnot. I just know that you know, when you're going through a challenge or something like that, I guess I'm very spiritual. This too shall pass, right? Life goes on, things happen, but how do I overcome? How do I stay fired up?
How do you change your mindset? How do you change your state of mind?
This is where I'm going. It's Tony Robbins, for example. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, and he's big, huge. If you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event on music, he says, change your state, change your mind. And the best way to do that is music. We all know there's certain music, it's different for everybody, but there's certain music that when it goes on, you just get excited, your mindset changes. And so for me, there's different music, but electronic music, EDM is like, for me, I crank up the music in my car and all of a sudden my mind goes off. I forget about the problems. All of a sudden it's like a mental reset, regardless of if I just got a bill I didn't want, or if I heard some bad news, or something happened, or I heard somebody has a health challenge, or whatever it is, I can change my state. And why is that important? Because I firmly believe how you approach things, from where you approach things, whether positive or negative, that's going to make a direct impact on how that comes out, how it comes into whatever the end result is. I think how your attitude is into it's going to affect overall in most things, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's a business transaction or whatever. It's not the same talking to someone when you're down and depressed and negative than when you're enthusiastic. Obviously, you don't want to be too high, but that relaxed intensity, that you're confident, that you're happy, that you're content, that where you're going, you're changing your state is something that as simple as music. It could be surrounding yourself with certain people. It also is turning off the news. It also is not reading the news. It also is controlling what you put in as far as social media. It's also controlling who you have around you. See, there's some friends and family that you can't avoid, right? They're friends and family. You got to be with them because of work or your years together, whatever. You may not be able to avoid them, but you have to control them because your surroundings affect you, and it affects you from a health perspective. I think there's a saying that says, tell me who your five friends are, and I'll tell you your future. Who you're around. So if you're around five rich people, eventually you're going to be the sixth one. If you're around five unhealthy alcoholics, for example, not to go into alcohol, but let's say you're around people that are always partying, you're probably going to end up that way. Whether it's just alcohol or drug, it's going to happen because it's your surroundings. So I think surrounding yourself with certain people and not affects your environment. And obviously what you put in through your eyes, through your ears, and what you speak out is important. So changing your state is as simple as turning on some music that just changes your mindset, right? And there's an exercise that I used to do before. What if you won that multi-million-dollar lottery ticket? How would life change? And I put them to think and whatever. And all of a sudden they're living that life. And all of a sudden, 3 minutes into it, when they're already traveling and got this and got that and helped this person done that, I stop and I go, have you noticed how your smile changed, how your attitude changed? That's a change of state, right? And what did we do? You didn't gain no $1 million. You just changed your mindset. So the mind is everything, man. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, nobody really teaches us that. You got to be around people that obviously understand that, listen to audios and podcasts like this, and hear from people that have been there, done that. But the good news is that there's a lot of that out there. You just got to obviously, biblical again, seek and you shall find, right? And so, yeah, changing your state is just as simple as changing music. Obviously, don't put some music like my grandmother died and my car.
So no country.
Uplifting, it could be Christian music, gospel music. It could be hip hop, but stay away from obviously something that. But hey, if that motivates you, maybe.
No, that's good.
So you are in digital marketing. Santos and I love that venue. What do you think would be good for beginners? What are like one or two really great places to start? Some kind of piece of knowledge that they could use to get started in. The world is becoming digital. We're living like we are today online. What is some pointers that you can give that are simple and elementary for people to get started in their growth process?
As far as network marketing,
digital marketing,
and anything, whether it's a traditional business or something, always find somebody that, if you have the option and the knowledge, because obviously you do, now that you mentioned it, find people, number one, that are successful. Number two, that you can relate to. I think is probably even more important, because what good is it to see somebody that's ultra successful, but you can't identify with that person. And I think the internet has so many examples of people that have done well from all kinds of backgrounds, ages, ethnicities, religions, whatever, and personalities. So I think it's number one, seeking people that are doing well and identifying people that obviously are doing it. But I will tell you, once you do connect with that person, if there's a connection, follow the directions and apply it. Because I think that one of the things that I think mentors in general get frustrated about is when you give advice to someone and they don't do it, or they do the opposite, and then a month later they're telling you about their problems that were smaller before, but now they're worse because they didn't take action on what you told them. So I think number one, seek counsel, but and then apply what you learn would probably be basic, fundamental, no matter what industry, no matter what it is, whether it's digital marketing, network marketing, entrepreneurship, sales, or whatever. Find a mentor that you can identify with, and then listen to them and do what they said. And if that doesn't work, obviously seek counsel again and find out, because sometimes you have to tweak things up. But I think it's finding someone you identify with. When you have the knowledge, find someone that you identify with, because at the end of the day, whatever you do in life requires effort, sacrifice, possibly risks, whatever it is. And if you have an opportunity to pick who you surround yourself with, pick somebody that you want to spend time with, you want to learn, you enjoy their vibe and their energy, because I believe that'll go that much faster. I have a big philosophy, and Santos knows, if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. And I think if you're not around the right circle, you're not going to have fun. You're not going to enjoy it. So find people that you identify with, and it's okay that you don't identify with someone that's successful. There's got to be somebody else in that industry that is. Connect with them. And main thing is apply what you're taught, because success leaves clues. And if somebody tells you, this is what I did, and this is what people are doing, and this is what I suggest you do, and you don't do it, I have no more tips. It's over.
I love it. So you're saying be teachable.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Teachable and coachable.
I love it. I love it. Very good.
Right now, great. I'll bring a current example right now. A couple of weeks ago, I took on a new, like I mentioned earlier, network marketing is my passion. I started a new venture that I think is going to be huge. And after I decided this is what I'm going to do, they had a system in place that's not the way I've been doing it for 2 decades at a very high level. And they're doing extremely well. And so I told them, well, listen, I'm going to try for a week. What I originally came intentionally with to do, I'm just going to submit to what you guys are doing. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to change the flavor. I'm not going to spice it up. I'm going to do exactly what you guys are telling everybody to do, what's working for everybody. And if in a week it doesn't work, I'm doing my own thing. I haven't changed it. It's been 4 weeks. It's gone nuts. So, I mean, if someone like me that's, I don't know if we want to talk about income, but, in my career, definitely in the 8 figures, doing, what I've done, if somebody like me will go back to ground zero and learn like a person that knows nothing, and apply like a person that's never done this before, that should leave a clue for those that seek to, advance in life and have success for them and their family. If somebody's successful has a roadmap and they tell you, do this and you'll get that, do it. And then if it doesn't work, then tweak it up. But I mean, that's what I did, and it's working quite well. So that would be my number one advice in that aspect.
Sure. Makes total sense. So Freddie, we've talked a little bit about, your spirituality. We've talked a little bit about, your mental well-being. Let's talk a little bit about your current project and your physical well-being and your health. So tell me a little bit about what your current project is. You kind of hinted a little bit at it, but let our audience know what you're currently working on.
Absolutely. Well, number one, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, I've always been a fitness person. I've always valued, it was instilled in with my dad. My dad, when I was a little kid, I was seeing him doing push-ups, running and stuff. And he was fit overall. I wouldn't say he was as good as me, but he was always fit. So that was an inspiration for me. I always knew like exercise was important, and I always valued it from high school on. I've always done weights. I've had my moments, when the kids were born, maybe I gained weight when during that period and got off track, but I've always been the person that, I want to be that way. I'll make the sacrifice if I'm off. It's natural. Like it's not a challenge for me. Like, that's my happy state, And so, you mentioned at 45, I'm 50 years old. At 45, I was a little bit off, and I just made a commitment that I was going to look better than when I was 21. I've always been fit, and so I think I pretty much am, because every time I everybody sees me, they're like, man, wow. And it's really just a decision. Anybody can do it. I'm more special than anybody else. I just made a choice that I was going to work out every day. I was going to make better food choices, drink water. I've always been into nutrition and stuff, but I took it to another level. That doesn't mean I don't eat pizza. That doesn't mean I don't eat cheesecake. That doesn't mean I might have some beverages with some friends on the weekend. But it's all in moderation. It's all in their place. And I found what works for my body. And so as you share that, as far as business and network marketing, which has been what I've done for most of my adult life, I value nutritional products that have science, that make an impact, that improve the quality of people's lives. I firmly believe if I'm going to invest in my body, I'm going to give it good fuel. I mean, if you buy a Ferrari, and I think each one of our bodies is like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, a high performance vehicle, whatever food you give it or nutrition you give it, it's going to react and respond. And so if you're giving it junk food, then kind of like if you have a high performance car and you give it 87 fuel, the thing's going to plunker and a little bit's going to knock and all that stuff. Food doesn't have the quality of nutrition it used to have, right? We need to supplement. It's a reality to be able to survive and thrive. And so I found a company that meets those requirements. We're focused on these drops. They're homeopathic. They help people lose weight, balances hormones in women and possibly in men too, controls appetite. People are getting great results. So they're not swallowing any pills. Kind of like the results that people are getting on this Ozempic and all that stuff, but without the high cost and without the side effects, all natural, homeopathic. And so that's what we're doing. We found a way to help in network marketing, direct sales, usually you want people to come in with the bigger packages of $500, $1,000. And one of the challenges is that people don't have that money or the belief to invest in that. And so we found a way where people can post twice a day, following our system, copy and paste, and generate that money, generate the sales, and then order. So we reverse engineered it. And that was one of the things that I adopted, and the company's just been exploding. So through that, my passion is to empower and inspire to get better health, to get better finances, and then obviously become financially literate, because one thing is to make money, another thing is to keep it and multiply it. So that's something that in this phase of my life is vital for me, and more importantly, vital for me to teach others, which I never did. I never did that. I helped people make a lot of money, but I didn't educate them on keeping it and advancing it. And so that's part of the strategy this time around, because I think money isn't everything, but like Zig Ziglar says, it's up there with oxygen, right? You can't do anything without it. You can't even die. They can't even bury you without it. So it's vital. Reality is the last couple of years, cost of living has gone up twice. So most people, I don't know how they're surviving with their salaries. The salary, $100,000 salary that used to be like the dream of everybody, it's really like a $50,000 or $40,000 salary right now, based on the cost of goods, based on what gas is, what rent is, insurance, and whatever. No matter what market you're in, it seems like it's all leveling off. I'm in Miami, where everything it's become the new Beverly Hills and Manhattan of the U.S. after the pandemic, because it was so cheap, and obviously the landscape is nice and it's all jacked up. So the reality is people are struggling. The average family is struggling right now, and it really fuels me to know that I have a vehicle where I can help people take control of their health, but more importantly, take control of their finances and pay it forward. And so that's in a nutshell what we're doing. Because I'm Cuban. I was born in the States, but Cuban background. I have two parents. I'm fully bilingual. I speak Spanish, so I'm also doing a Latino movement with that here in the U.S., Puerto Rico, and South America. So obviously I'm building in both markets, and so nothing. I'm excited because of that. I think that going back to the whole fire up and everything, the fact that I'm fit and healthy, I think that gives me energy. I'm not the person who says, oh, I got to do this. No, I get to do this. No, I got to work out. No, I get to work out. I'm different, and it's really because of my decisions, and it starts with one. You start little by little. The getting fit is very simple. You start walking. when you get tired of walking, you start jogging, and when you start jogging, you start running, right? And with weights, the same thing. So you baby step. The biggest challenge in anything you do in life, whether it's health or finances, is taking that first step. Once you take that first step, take the second and take the third. There's no competition. It's you versus you. It's you against you in the mirror all day. And as long as you understand that, and you're just better every single day a little bit, by the time you look back, people are like, wow, you're so successful. Wow, you look so good. What? No, it's just you made a decision, and you've been persistent and consistent in spite of whatever life throws at you. So,
Freddie, we could probably spend hours on end just talking about that very subject, right?
Yep.
Being consistent and successful in spite of. And I know you've had a lot of challenges, and you've also had a lot of successes. For the folks out there who are either listening to us or viewing us on our podcast, if they wanted to, number one, follow Freddy Melero on social media, or get more information on your current project and how you're helping, thousands of people out there with their health and their wealth, how would they do so? Where would they find you?
I think I'm very public, so social media is best, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, specifically FreddyMelero, Freddy Melero. Go to Instagram or go to Facebook, and all my information is there. Reach out to me. I mean, just like Vaughn said, you're searching through all, you can see my stuff, whether it's the posts or the videos I do. Just reach out to me and connect. And I think everything in life is a conversation. So let's connect.
All right, Freddie, do you have any questions for us? Anything else that you want to share with us that you think, hey, you know what I don't want is that as soon as we hang up or as soon as we end this, that you say, I really wanted to share this and I didn't get a chance.
Like you mentioned, there's probably 1,000 things I want to share, because I get a high out of sharing with people something that I know that can change their life. Number one, I want to thank you guys for this opportunity. Number two, I want to thank you guys for creating this, because I know you're going to impact a lot of lives. Not just with this podcast with me, but with everybody you're doing, because everybody has a story and you never know which one story can change someone else's life. But I'll leave it with one quote that really, when people get it, if you continue to think the way you thought, you'll continue to do the things you've done. If you continue to do the things you've done, you'll continue to get the things you've got. If you don't change your mind, you're going to keep doing those things that you've been doing. And that's been leading to you to where you're at. And if that's okay with you, then hey, go for it. But if you want something to change, you've got to change your mind. Change your thinking, change your life. Guys, it took me years to understand that, because I was hoping things would change for me. And it wasn't until I changed my mindset. Jim Rohn was one of my biggest mentors. Earl Nightingale, never met them, but I know them like if they were brothers and grandfathers and fathers, whatever, to me, because I heard them over and over. I still hear them over and over and over. You know, a lot of people buy books or CDs that are good and audios, and they read it once or they hear it once and it's gone. I've listened to some of these audios about 70, 80, 100 times, and I still listen to them, because I think every time you listen to something, two things: you listen to something you didn't hear before, because every time you hear thought-provoking stuff like what we're sharing today, your mind goes off and you miss the next couple minutes. So the next time you get on, then you hear what you didn't hear the first time, and you're also not the same person every time you hear it. You know, so you're in a different phase of your life, so you absorb different things at different times. But my main thing is change your thinking. You know, everything's possible to those that believe, right? It's biblical. I firmly believe anything you want is possible, no matter what hard time you've gone through. If you seek counsel, if you obviously apply whatever they seek, you know, from the right mentor, right? And you don't give up, anything's possible, man. I don't know anybody that's that's wanted something or wanted to achieve something that has never given up, that's not achieved it. Me personally, the only way you can lose is to quit. Quitters never win and winners never quit, right? It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you stand up. And like one guy told me in one of my most challenging times, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, all that matters is where you're going, right? You can't get a brand new start, but you can always have a better end. So I'll leave you guys with that, even though I'm getting stuck on a couple of them. But I just know that in my mindset, everything's possible. I'm my only limit. And for everybody out there, you're your only limit. And again, when you start changing your surroundings, when you start changing what you're listening to, when you start changing who you're surrounded with, you know, all of a sudden you're with someone that overcame what you overcame and is making it happen and sees the world differently. You're going to start adapting some of that. And those little changes will change your life. And as you completely transform, nobody will recognize you. You're a different person. So mindset is everything. Santos, thank you so much. I'm honored and blessed to be here. And however I can help, let me know.
Sir, I wish you a lot of success. I continue to follow you every single day. I'm always sharing, even some of the things that you post are very inspiring, and I share them with my teams all the time. And I really appreciate you for the person that you are, and all the wisdom throughout these 11 years that you've so freely shared with me. And that hopefully now we get an opportunity to share with our audience as well. So thank you so much for being on our show.
You guys, take care.
Thank you. You as well.